Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So picking up on this line of questioning, I have concerns of what, Mr. Administrator, on a focus on meeting a 3-year timeline. I'm all for getting this done as quickly as possible. We need it. But this 3-year timeline strikes me as somewhat arbitrary and unrealistic. And I'm worried that it's setting up any prime integrator to fail. I just want to make sure that we're addressing issues of redundancy, resiliency, that we're not creating gaps. So even if the project technically meets the on-time delivery under the threat of non-payment, without stringent oversight, such an environment is at high risk for less stringent quality control, malfunctioning systems, and inadequate time to train controllers on those new systems. So I just want to make sure, yes, it's great that you're putting this timeline in place, but you're going to have to do the significant oversight to make sure that we're not cutting corners. And Mr. Bradford, with an accelerated timeline, coupled with the firings and vacancies across numerous critical offices in the FAA, how will you ensure the current ATC modernization project preserves redundancy, resiliency, and careful transitions to avoid disruptive gaps in capabilities that will emerge when functional systems are sunset and replacement is not yet operational? How are you going to make that transition go as smoothly as possible under this very ambitious timeline that you've put forward?
Well, thank you for your question, Ranking Member Duckworth. I'll tell you, it's something that we've spent an enormous amount of time as we selected between two potential integrator partners. This process went through months of evaluation, months of study, game theorying out the entire deployment scenario. So none of the needs package that have been identified, the critical work streams and the timeline, all of that has been vetted through our competitive process. So I believe everyone involved right now believes the target, while it may seem aspirational, it's absolutely achievable. You correctly point out that we need to do that at the same time without sacrificing the current operational reliability of the national airspace system. I think it would be fair for me to categorize that we will not increase the elevation of risk in terms of reliability, but we're still relying on an inefficient national airspace system design. And by that I mean where we house the compute power, the data power, the operating system capacity is resident in each of our 350 facilities. So phase one of the $12.5 billion fixes a lot of those resiliency and redundancy issues, but it doesn't actually get us to the point where we can complete modernization. So just to be clear, this next set of funding that we're looking for that will give us the dollars to actually go completely from analog to digital infrastructure and elevate that compute power out of the facility into the cloud. And that's another reason why we selected Peraton. They've done this for the Department of War. They've accomplished this for NASA. They've got a great roadmap for us to follow for FAA.
So FAA has described the latest ATC modernization project as organized around 5 main categories: communications, surveillance, automation, facilities, and Alaska. As I stated earlier, I believe FAA should add an additional category: personnel. Would you agree that when it comes to restoring effective layers and margins of safety, one of the most urgent challenges we face is fixing the sheer shortage of controllers, technicians, and other important safety personnel?
Boy, I would love to spend a full hour talking about that with you. I can tell you, and you've probably seen, we announced on Monday our Flight Plan 2026. The Flight Plan 2026 goes into the field. It has 3 primary pillars. The first pillar is people. Focus on hiring the best people, giving them the best training and the best tools to achieve the best results. And we have now identified the critical steps with which we will hold ourselves accountable to delivering on our people, and I would say also starting to restore a culture of trust at the FAA. The second pillar, of course, is safety. And I would love to spend a lot of time today talking to you about how we're going to rethink about safety and redesigning SMS and risk management at the FAA. And then the final piece is modernization, but they build on each other. We have to start, people is the foundation of the NAS. People are the foundation of the National Airspace System. And then we're buttressed by the 2 pillars of safety and our modernization efforts.
I think we also need to supercharge the training of new air traffic controllers. And would at the FAA consider using a small portion of the ATC modernization funds to purchase and deploy equipment so that we can strengthen the existing 9 enhanced collegiate training initiative schools and more importantly, to supercharge efforts to persuade far more academic institutions to sign up to become ECTI schools. I think that that is something that needs to happen. I sort of think of it like the ROTC program, where you don't have to go to West Point to become an Army officer. You can go to any ROTC program across the country. You still have to go to your officer's basic course. You still have to go to Oklahoma and finish, your 16-week course. But at least we're pumping more people into the system, and I do think that it would be worth it for FAA to consider increasing the number of schools and using some of those funds to purchase the equipment so that more schools, whether it's Kansas or Texas or New Jersey or Washington State, can graduate more folks who can then become air traffic controllers.
So I applaud the suggestion. I think we have an opportunity to really lean much more heavily into our community college infrastructure across the country. Our FAA jobs are all across the nation. And if we can get training closer to where the students are, the future of the FAA, I think that'll be helpful to us. Of course, Oklahoma City, that'll be the graduate school, if you will. We're
Yes.
always going to have it. We're blessed to have Oklahoma City, but we can absolutely do more on workforce development. And honestly, to have any hope of overcoming our controller shortages, we need an all-of-the-above strategy.
I do think you should I think you should seriously consider taking some of the initial down payment to establish additional FAA academies. And we should have more than just the one. And we should, you should look at, I'm confident the chairman would love to host a second academy in Kansas, and also the chairman of the main committee in Texas. Of course, we'd love one in Illinois as well. But I think that in places where you actually have established air traffic controller training and aviation schools, additional academies are desperately needed at this time. So please consider that.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you.